And of course, the final coping mechanism to mention is this idea of trying to make Islam perfectly aligned with the dominant theories, and trying to say that Islam and feminism, Islam and women's rights, Islam was the first to bring women's rights. Okay? So, fine, you want to say that Islam is bringing women's rights and is recognizing women's rights. Okay, you can say that, but why are you putting so much emphasis on it? Why are you putting so much emphasis on it and making a show out of it? You're making a show out of it. You're making a mockery of it. And you're not clarifying that what Islam considers to be women's rights is not the same as what modernists and the modern feminist movement considers to be women's rights. Why are you not clarifying that? It's important that you make that crystal clear insofar as you want to make the claim in the first place. And then when you do that, the people that you're trying to please and the people that you're trying to impress will reject it, or will laugh at it, or will be offended by it. You know, when you start talking about certain things in Islam regarding what is a woman's right and what is a man's right, and what's the right of wives versus the rights of husbands, and so on and so forth. So it's not conform at all. In fact, it's in stark contrast to the feminist conception of women's rights. So why do you keep using these slogans? This is a coping mechanism. So, and it's the source of many doubts. It's the source of many doubts with youth, because if you say that Islam recognizes women's rights, you use that expression, the person who's listening to that, the audience member or the student who listens to that, is going to get a certain impression, is going to get a certain idea. And that idea is that, okay, all of these things that I learn in my environment, in the modern culture, in my secular studies to be women's rights, Islam accepts all of that. That's what the Imam said. That's what the Sheikh said. So then that student will open the Quran. Will open the Quran, or will watch something or read something online on these forums, on these internet forums, okay, where they're not sugarcoating anything and they're just pasting hadith. They're pasting athar and ahadith one after another to attack Islam. Then this poor guy is going to read all of that, say, wait, but the Sheikh said Islam is perfectly conformant with feminism and women's rights, but I'm reading, Imam Malik had this opinion, and Imam Shafi'i had this opinion, and Abu Hanifa had this opinion. That's not right. Well, I guess Imam Shafi'i and Abu Hanifa, they were mistaken. They distorted Islam, basically. They brought in their patriarchal understanding of women and they distorted Islam. So, okay, I'm not going to follow them. They clearly, I know what's right in my heart, and that's modern feminism and women's rights. Everything that I learn in my environment, and I watch on TV and I hear on the radio, that's the truth. That's my environment. I believe it. So what I'm reading from Imam Shafi'i and all the that's distortion, basically. Then they read some more and they say, oh, actually, Imam Abu Hanifa's qawl on this mas'ala, on this issue regarding divorce, talaq, or whatever, that's actually based on these hadith and this ayah. Then they go to the hadith and they say, oh, okay, maybe these hadith are just fabrications. I can be a Quranist. Only a Quran. I only accept the Quran because clearly these patriarchal, misogynistic Muslims over time they fabricated hadith. These forgeries have been inserted into our tradition. So I reject all that. I'm a Quran-only Muslim. Then they start reading some more, and then they see ayat being cited, certain words, certain ideas about women's place in society versus a man's place in society, and on and on. And then guess what? They have to reject the Quran. So what started as that sheikh and that imam, I mean, we can't put all blame on him, but with his statement that Islam is all about women's rights and Islam is a feminist religion, with that statement he set a path. He set the listener and the student, the young Muslim, the ignorant Muslim, on a path towards apostasy, toward ridda. And this is not theoretical. I've seen this many times, many examples of this happening. And it's all because of trying to align Islam with these certain slogans and these expressions, instead of being more careful and cautious and not adopting terms from this dominant culture and thought system. But in order to be careful and cautious, you have to know what you're talking about, and you have to know what that system is and what are the fundamental pillars of that system.